All right. Hi, well, as I look around the room, all of you know that my name is Cassandra Pugh, and I am going to be presenting my Spring 2016 PDP, so thank you for joining me. If you don't mind looking in your folder and grabbing this nifty little handout, because you can follow along with me as I go through my presentation, so thank you for that. Sometimes life closes doors because it's time to move forward. And that's a good thing because we often won't move unless circumstances forces us to. On the evening of July 17, 2015, I sat around a dinner table with some of my close friends, of which I hope you can see, but the light, because I needed some advice. See, earlier that week, I had received a phone call from Pastor Jason Jans from a small urban church in Denver, Colorado. Now, my friends were very aware of Providence Bible Church because I've been talking to them about it for the last several months, based on the things that I saw with racial reconciliation and lamenting that the church was doing through the power of social media. But this night was the first time that people would speak into my life to say that just maybe God was closing the door in Dallas and opening the door to the fellowship. As many of you know, 7 years prior to me coming to the fellowship, I was in ministry, children's ministry to be exact. I was a children's pastor, but I was also on the children's curriculum team. During that time, I was stretched and I grew to love and teach children, but also to minister to the families. I also had a great time connecting with volunteers and making sure they knew how to best do their jobs. And I realized something during the 7 years, that one of the things that God created me to do was to teach others. Now also during this period, God started instilling in my heart that I didn't want to just teach children, but I also wanted the opportunity to effectively love on and teach and minister to adults. And in December, Jill Friesen and I were named part of the training camp staff along with Jen Jans and several others. I didn't know what I would be doing with training camp because really it wasn't on my radar, so I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I wanted to be under Jen's leadership. See, a few days prior, Jen and Jason had the Delta Fellows over to dinner, actually over to dessert, and Jen shared a little bit about her life, and it was one of the first times I really heard her speak. And I remember thinking, man, I really wish I could be under her leadership. Now, little did I know that the Spirit was prompting me for what was to come. As a part of the training camp team, I not only teach, but I am also a curriculum writer. Now, I have to be honest, writing the curriculum has been a challenging part of the process for me, but I think that I've done a lot better. So I am in charge of writing the customer service classes, but I also tweak and work with business skills classes, life skills classes as well. So I have now written 5 of the customer service classes, and that was challenging for me because I had to come up with, from scratch, some ideas that would best benefit the development of our leaders and help them be effective in the modern day workplace. So having to research that and then put that together from scratch proved to be a challenge, but it's something that I've now done, and I'm pretty proud of myself for doing that. Now, one of the best days thus far as part of the training camp staff is in April when 27 of our leaders graduated the Uprise training camp. Now, they showed a lot of drive and tenacity, and there were a lot of roadblocks that could have kept them from graduating, but they stuck it out because 37 entered and only 27 completed. Hopefully you can see this, but this is a thank you card that I received from Rhonda a few days after she graduated. So the Uprise team graduated on a Friday, and then on Monday, there were 43 brand new faces upstairs in training camp that we had to welcome. But when I came to my office that week, there was a note from Rhonda. And basically it said, thank you so much for your bubbly personality. I appreciate the way that you teach me, and I appreciate the fact that we're friends. Now that was huge for me because not that I don't want to be friends with the people that I teach, but I never really thought of myself as that. So I thought it was quite special that she would feel that way about me. But not just that, one of my classes was teaching etiquette in the business world, and after interviewing to write a thank you card. So it was quite sweet to see something that I had taught come to fruition. Now, right now, upstairs to be exact, we have our second training camp class of 2016. They're actually about to wrap up their third week, and they are going to be upstream leaders. Now, why I'm most excited about this class is because I'm actually a part of upstream. I'm going to be an ally this year, and so one of the men or women that are upstairs now will actually be my leader. So I'll get the opportunity to journey the next year with them just to see how they're doing, and I know that they will pour into my life just as much, if not more, as I will pour into theirs. Now, in February, I had the opportunity to visit some conferences in a school. In February, I went back to Dallas for the C3 conference, and Juan Pena actually joined me at that conference. We had a great opportunity to speak with next level leaders and staff about the opportunities that would be here at the fellowship if they did decide to join. We also spent time at Christ for the Nations, which is a predominantly minority school, and people come from everywhere. In particular, it has a large Hispanic population, and I know that that is one of the populations of people that we're trying to get to become leaders in our program. And so while we've not yet had anyone come to the fellowship through C3 or CFNI, I'm very excited about the door that got opened 2 months ago to get to know the students better as well as the staff. Now that same month, Hannah Leach and I both went to the Ignite Awakening Conference, which is a student ministry conference. My charge when I was sent there was basically to see if there was any potential to be able to develop relationships and to bring in new leadership into the fellowship. Now, based on what I saw, most students were middle school and high schoolers. So I would say that right now, it is maybe not the best place to recruit for the fellowship, but I think that it's a great opportunity to foster relationships amongst ministries, which I know is part of what Hannah was doing there. But I also think it will give great opportunity to bring in summer interns. So, as you very well may know, I am a highly relational and extreme extrovert. And so Relational Weave was part of what I was striving for when it came to my relational part of my PDP. In Dallas, I came from a very tight-knit community from my church. And my friends effectively became my family. And so when I came here, community was not new for me. It was the norm. And it's something that I definitely wanted to continue once I moved to Denver. So one of the things that I've been making sure that I did, and one of the things that I put on my PDP, was trying to dive deeper into the community of Providence Bible, as well as spending time with my fellows outside of work hours. And so initially, I had quantified everything. Like this Sunday, I will go out with 2 people. On Wednesday, I will do X, Y, Z. But once I started to do that, it became a habit, and a habit really just turned into a normal part of my life. So I no longer believe I can quantify the hours that I spend going to dinners or planning Christy's birthday party or going to the movies or things like that. It's just a normal part of my life, which for me feeds into who I am, and it blesses me. So now, when I look at what the fellowship has become, it's becoming friends who are on the verge of being my family, and I could not be more excited about the experiences that I have had with you guys. So, goals. What are my goals coming up for the next semester? So a few of them, as you'll see, are on your handout, but I want to expound upon a few of them. One would be to teach 15 classes per training camp. Right now, I'm at about 12, and I would like to heighten that because I feel like the only way to hone my craft and to do better at teaching is to have more chances to teach. This is where I wanted to throw a little bit of a joke about at bat, but I didn't really know how to use it, so I just thought I would stay in my lane. Now, I think that that's going to be a bit get tricky because based on Tuesday and Wednesday with my fellowship responsibilities, and then Friday we have a guest speaker, and basically that's an all-day event on Friday. There's not really a lot of time left for me to be able to teach. So I want to talk with Jen about some interesting ways that I might be able to fit in 15 classes for training camp, and also having more staff members come and watch me teach and help critique me so that I can grow with what I'm doing. Another thing that I'm involved in, as I just mentioned, would be guest speakers. And so every week I bring in a new guest speaker that might have a particular expertise that might be beneficial to the leaders, but also they could be community leaders or have triumphed over adversity and have a great story to tell. Now, I feel like I did a good job as far as the diversity of race with the guest speakers who came. I did not do the best job in making sure that I had enough men who reflected the demographic of people that we had. So my goal is to add 2 minority men as guest speakers as well. Now, one thing that you might have noticed through my presentation that I didn't touch on my volunteer recruiting, that's because when I started my PDP, it wasn't actually in my PDP because we hadn't gone through it. But I feel like over the last few weeks, we have worked to narrow down the focus to make sure that what I needed to execute, to understand who I talked with, and just the pathway of a volunteer. So my goal, one of my many goals for volunteer coordinating for next semester, is to effectively connect incoming volunteers to the right programs. And I say the right programs and not the desired programs, because one of my jobs is to screen the volunteers to really get to know what their strengths are, where they would best fit amongst our programs. And then finally, I would like to meet twice monthly with my mentor, Cordelia Randall. We actually meet just about every day and talk, and she gives me advice all the time, but I haven't been successful in making sure that I schedule the time the way that I said I would on my PDP, so I want to make sure that I do that. And so I just want to thank you guys for walking this journey with me.